Clinton. We already talked about the election of 1992, in which, of course, Daddy Bush, Bush 41, ran against Bill Clinton, but there was a spoiler alert in the form of Ross Perot. Daddy Bush said, "Read my lips. No new what? Taxes." And of course, there were new taxes, and the Democrat, Bill Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton, technically to be correct, is going to win the presidency. He will hold office from 1992 to 2000, which means he has how many terms? 2 terms. In fact, interesting fact here, Bill Clinton is the first 2-term Democrat since FDR in the 1930s and 40s. Kind of a really big deal there, okay? The essential question of this note packet, or note sheet. To what extent did the Clinton and Bush years deviate from the Reagan era? So Clinton and Bush, how different was it from the Reagan era? So the very first thing I want to get down is the 1992 election. I know we've already kind of talked about it, but I want to reemphasize this. You need to make sure you get down Bush, Republican, versus Clinton, Democrat, versus Perot, who was an independent. He is and I want you to circle Perot and put third party. Okay? Now, with that, Bill Clinton had represented a new group of Democrats who had hoped to reclaim those lost Reagan Democrats that essentially Bush 41, Daddy Bush, had kind of made mad when he raised taxes. He had to do it, of course, because of the Persian Gulf War, Operation Desert Storm. Now, domestic agenda. We're going to go pretty quick on this. Clinton is pretty simple, okay? Domestic agenda. Pause this, get this down. There are 4 bullet points. Okay, his domestic agenda: to reduce the size of government, which is essentially back to Reagan, yes? There's where he wants to reclaim those Reagan Democrats. To balance the federal budget. Wait a second. That's like Reagan. To reform welfare and extend health care to all Americans. Now, that's interesting because Reagan didn't want to reform welfare. He kind of wanted to get rid of it, or at least shift it down to the states. But here's something that Clinton does. I need you to make sure you circle, highlight, do whatever you need to. Extend health care to all Americans. That is going to be something that you and I are probably very familiar with because that didn't happen under Clinton. We know that happened under Obama, otherwise known as, quote-unquote, Obamacare. And finally, last thing, big star here to promote economic growth because, of course, he needs to turn that economy around. The quote that I always remember that Clinton said in his campaign in 1992, "The era of big government is over," which is very interesting because he is a Democrat who is saying this. Normally, Democrats lean towards bigger government. However, Clinton is a new kind of Democrat. Now, domestic policy under Clinton, let's talk about this healthcare. And I even put a little star, healthcare, question mark. Universal healthcare. I want you to take and I want you to circle the word universal. So if you need to pause and get this down, do it so far. Circle the word universal, put a question mark. What does that mean? Universal healthcare. That means healthcare for everyone. Okay? Now, he did introduce or ask for a bill. Okay? To be put through Congress regarding universal health care. But this plan to offer universal health care will be defeated. It's going to be defeated because, A, he puts a very interesting person in charge of it, someone that we know very, very well, his wife. Anybody know Bill Clinton's wife's name? Hillary Clinton. But the bill's defeat allowed for massive victories in the 1994 midterm elections for Republicans. I don't know if you guys have really paid too close of attention to a lot of things in American politics, but one thing that I would hope you understand is there is a presidential election every how many years? 4 years, right? Because that's how many terms a president serves, or years in a term. But I don't know if you've noticed that every single 2 years there's midterm elections in which every single member of the House of Representatives is up for re-election, and about 1/3 of the members in the Senate are up for re-election because they serve years of terms in 6. So with that, every single even-numbered year has an election. It's just every 4 years is a presidential election. Well, when Bill Clinton puts health care up, it creates such a backlash that actually people start voting for Republicans instead of Democrats. Now, the one thing I want to make sure you get down, and this is going to be its own little bullet point right here. In fact, I wrote it, contract with America, quote unquote. Okay, the Republicans, led by a guy named Newt Gingrich, I need you to circle his name. He actually had run for president in 2012 in the Republican primary, offered a quote-unquote contract with America. Now, here's what I need you to make sure you understand with a contract with America. It is a return to Reagan-style tax cuts. Are we clear? Increased military spending and limited role of government. That is exactly what Reagan would have wanted. The only thing that Clinton agrees with is the limited role of government. He said the era of big government is over. However, Clinton does believe that social problems can be fixed with government. Okay? Reagan definitely did not. He thought it was up to the states and society. Now, Clinton undercut their agenda by reducing the size of government and planning for a balanced budget. Clinton actually beats Newt Gingrich at his own game. I will tell you that Clinton and Newt Gingrich did not like each other whatsoever. And after this contract with America, again, Reagan-style tax cuts, increased military spending, and limited government, comes at Clinton, Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton will be forever enemies. Are we clear? Now, again, presidential election every 4 years. Here is the presidential elector map when it comes to 1996. This is when Clinton has to run for re-election. Now, the first election he ran against Daddy Bush. He only really won because of Perot, I'll be honest with you. The next election, he's going to run against a man named Bob Dole. That might be a good quiz question for you there. No, you don't have anything really to write about this one, but Bob Dole is going to lose, okay? But he is going to definitely pose a threat to Clinton. However, Clinton is a very good politician. He's a very good talker. Okay, are we clear? He's very likable. And so with that, you'll see the popular vote. Clinton wins by 49% versus, there you go, 40%. Ooh, who do you notice is still in there? Perot's still hanging in there. Pretty much hands the election back to Clinton again. I am telling you right now, if I was Bill Clinton, you know who my favorite person would be? Not Monica Lewinsky. It would be Ross Perot. You'll get that little joke in a little bit. Okay, now the technology boom in the 1990s. Let's talk about this. I just have technology boom, but if you want to take a look at this, this is the evolution of technology and its impact in the development of social businesses. In the 1960s, babies. Okay, technology has little impact. It's kind of created curiosity, okay, whatever. It was the 1950s, the first IBM computer was created. In the 1970s, still, technology is for the academics. It has little impact. In 1980s, we are still children, but we can start to kind of look at some of these personalized computers. This is when kind of Steve Jobs and Wozniak kind of start creating the personalized computer. In the 1990s, we become kind of a teenager with this technology idea. We have some control over it, but we kind of don't know what to do with it. The internet starts popping up, but it's like that dial-up stuff, and it's like, you've got mail. Then the early 2000s, we are growing up. We're kind of starting to feel like, ooh, look, I got a flip phone here. Oh, isn't this cool? And then now it's almost like we have technology everywhere, do we not? So the evolution of technology really starts in the I'd say the 50s, to be honest with you. It's not on this timeline, but it starts in the 50s. But it comes of age, really, to be honest with you. It hits that growth spurt in the 1990s. It's going to create a massive technology boom with the economy. The effect of this is going to be massive money spent on technology. You are going to see the internet blow up the economy positively like you have never seen before. And a ton of these deficits, when our country starts making money, will start to become paid off. 90s technology boom's effect on the economy. Look at 1990 right here. We have Daddy Bush in office. We have a deficit, red. Okay, that means we owe money of $221 billion. Gross domestic product, that means we're making, okay, 5.5. Now in 1991, we have, again, a deficit of 269. That's because that's Operation Desert Storm right here. Are we clear? That's why it's growing. But we start making more money. We make more money. We make more money. We make more money in 1994. Are y'all following me with this? Look at this screen. We keep making more money towards the end of the 1990s. In fact, you see nothing but an increase of gross domestic product. That means how much we make. And as you notice, as we make more money, are we clear, in trillions of dollars, The budget deficit, you notice it's going from 221, 269, ooh, up, up. But wait, it starts going down until 1998. Is that red anymore? That's green. This means big deal right here. Big deal right here. Green means we are out of debt for the last 3 years of President Clinton's presidency. And I will be honest, I think he got a little bit lucky, in more ways than one, you're going to find out, in the fact that he got to be president during the technology boom of the 1990s. Little bit exciting, but we are now officially not in debt. Now, there are going to be some entrepreneurs. I need you to pause this, get it down. I think you guys are going to know some of these guys. But you've got Bill Gates. You're going to be responsible for looking these people up and knowing what they did. Bill Gates, I don't think we really need to talk about him, Microsoft. Steve Jobs, we know him, Apple. Sam Walton, Wally World, Walmart. Oprah, hello, O Network, the Oprah Show. I had, President Obama onto my show, and that literally is where he became President Obama, basically. Okay. Then you have Robert Johnson, founder of BET, okay, Entertainment, Black Entertainment Television, first African-American billionaire in American history. Estee Lauder, immigrant woman who builds her company, makeup company, out of nowhere and completely 100% revolutionizes the makeup industry. Now here's one that you may not have heard of. I know probably these bottom ones are going to be the ones you haven't heard of. You first have Black Entertainment Television, Robert Johnson, Estee Lauder. You may know it, girls, especially, the makeup. But here's the one you might not know, this guy named Lionel Sosa. He's going to be very important in Texas in the fact that he is a Hispanic, very, very, very successful Hispanic entrepreneur, especially in media, and he is going to contribute to George Baby W. Bush's campaign. So he ended up making his way into this teaks of Texas. Yeah, you're welcome. There's politics. But pretty important. You'll notice, of course, you have your technology gurus, your middle-class Walmart guru, your African-American woman who runs the world, basically, African-American male who is the first billionaire, whereas Oprah was the first female African-American billionaire, Estee Lauder, an immigrant woman, and then, of course, a Hispanic. So a little bit of your affirmative action going on there. Now, very last thing for this video, we need to go ahead and talk about two things. The first thing is NAFTA. I'm going to need you to go ahead and pause this and get it down because I'm not going to have a lot of time to talk about it, so pause it. All right, the first thing we need to understand is that Clinton is being president in a time where we are very, very freely trading with other countries, in large part due to the internet. Now, Clinton is encouraging free trade. I need you to make sure you put encouraged free trade. He ends up signing what we will end up calling NAFTA. I need you to know what that stands for, North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement. Initiated under Bush, however, it would be passed and signed by Bill Clinton. Now, the whole point of NAFTA is to reduce trade barriers among U.S., Mexico, and Canada. Let me give you a picture here. This is the globe. You'll notice those three countries are right there, the North Atlantic countries. Those three countries are also the flags that have been intertwined in this picture right here. The whole idea of NAFTA is that we work together. We do not have trade barriers. Mexico makes something better, we buy it from Mexico. We make something better, Mexico buys it from us. Canada makes something better, we buy it from Canada. We specialize in things, therefore we get things for cheaper. We work together, work smarter, not harder, remember? But here's the problem, and I don't have it in red, but I'm going to go ahead and say you need to know it. Critics say that it has led to a loss of manufacturing jobs in countries where labor is cheaper. Loss of manufacturing jobs to countries where labor is cheaper. Meaning, how much does it cost to hire someone in Mexico? Oh, not a lot at all. How much does it cost to hire somebody in Dallas, Texas? $10 an hour. So a lot of the jobs, the manufacturing jobs, industry jobs, are going to move to countries where it's cheaper to hire. It's called outsourcing. Say that. Outsourcing. Make sure you understand that. Okay? That is going to be the biggest critique. And go ahead and I got to show you here. Here's a little bit of cartoons here. We have Uncle Sam doing his laundry. NAFTA is a washing machine, jobs. And it says right here, I don't understand. I keep losing socks. Interesting. Now, the very last thing real quick, general agreements on tariffs and trade, cut tariffs, and the WTO helped settle trade disputes among 117 countries. again increasing trade amongst countries. That's your domestic.